Hey, it's me, Wendy. We are live in my office, and I still have not gotten all of it together, but I wanted to show you our new intro for the Social Impact Level Up Lives. Hey, it's me, Wendy V, and we're here with the Social Impact Level Up Live. Today, your job is to sit back, listen, and have some fun, and maybe take a few minutes to relax, because we're going to have an amazing conversation today to turn your ideas into a legacy of social change. All right, we are back, and I love how there's just so many things going on StreamYard that I'm like, all the toys. So now there is an intro for our lives, and I'm happy to have that. And I'm really excited about this live because we're going to be talking about legacy today. And there's some things that sometimes we forget when we're thinking about, what is the impact that we're going to be leaving, and what are we going to be doing with ourselves. And it's just something that I always think about. And so I wanted to have that as a conversation today. And I am changing a setting that I want to make sure you guys can see who I am and what I'm doing. There we go. Oh, yep. I'm going to have to change this name somehow, and I forgot how to do it. So either way, I want to make sure you could see what we're doing today, and I'll get it changed as we're talking. So it's about legacy, and I wanted to talk about how do you create a kick-ass legacy. And I really use that word on purpose because I want people to know how you can actually build the legacy you're proud of, and how you can start doing that right now with the actions that you can take right now. And I forgot to close my window. So as you are building your nonprofit or building your business, there are a number of things that you can do that will help you build your legacy. And it's not something that we just say, in the coaching world, just do, this, and then all of a sudden you have this big brand or you have this big legacy that you're going to be proud of. There's deliberate steps you have to take. And sometimes people don't tell you the actual steps. And so you go into these big coaching programs, or you go into these group coaching programs, or you go into a course, and that's where you find information about how you build this legacy, or how you build a business, or how you build a nonprofit. And I just wanted to take some of those steps out of the behind the scenes and talk a little bit more about the first couple of steps. And these are things that I work with clients all the time, so it's not like it's super secret. We talk about these things every day, and we go through activities, and we go through worksheets, and we go through mindset things that help people get past some of these barriers so they can start building the legacy that they want. And sometimes when we're doing this work, we are doing it by ourselves. So we don't know that there's other people who are also doing this type of work. And especially when we are people who are building a legacy of social change, that always ends up feeling lonely, because a lot of people don't realize that, social change work it's meant to be done by a community. It's meant to be done with people together with you. And as you do that work and you bring your expertise, or you bring your skills to the community helps elevate and lift leaders to places where change happens, right? So whether that's in elected or in appointed or in some sort of business, there's a lot of ways that leaders can create social change. And when you're getting ready to step out and be a leader, particularly if you're thinking about changing, say, leaving your 9-to-5 or changing your career, pivoting some way in your business, a lot of the times we don't know where to start at first and how to go about it. And when we're very first starting out. So that is what this conversation is about today, is how do you take those initial steps to build the legacy, to start building your brand, or whatever it is that you're trying to build that's going to create impact and create social change. And it may be you as a person, or it may be you as an organization. And depending on how you're coming to the conversation, the steps are the same, but what takes place in each step looks a little different. So we'll talk about that today. So let's talk about building a legacy of social change. So the first part about all of this is you have to think about what is your vision. And the vision is something that you can do visioning on your own, but you also can do visioning as part of a process with a coach or with someone who's going to walk you through and say, what is the actual vision that you have? And I took my name off, but I want to put that back on. So what is the vision that you actually have? How do you know this is what you're being called to do? And who are you serving and how are you serving them, right? So these are all the questions that we go through in the initial sets of conversations that we have, so that I understand how the people that I'm working with are seeing the future. And particularly because all this work that's impact oriented has not happened yet, right? Like we're trying to change something so there's a different future and a different outcome. It takes a lot of strong visioning work to think about what that outcome is, because it doesn't currently exist, right? Like this isn't something that you can currently see. It's not something that currently operates in this way. It doesn't exist yet. We're still getting ready to build it. So because it doesn't exist yet, we are thinking, of all of these different ideas. And the first step is honing in on what those ideas are, so that then that can make its way into reality. So when we have a vision and we're starting out with building our legacy, honing your ideas is a super important step. And as you go through that step and you work with a coach or however you're doing your visioning work, you get more clarity on how you want the future to look. So what do you want this legacy to look like? And then once you know a little bit more about what you want your legacy to look like, then you have the actions you can take. So the inspired actions come next. And inspired actions are all about how do you as a person move forward and proceed in order for this vision to come to life, in order for the social change to happen. And the actions are not always clear. You sometimes have to do this and then do that and do this and do that in order to get forward. But the actions are really where you can make the big difference as you're going along. So depending on what actions you're choosing, what path you're choosing to get to your vision, those actions are what we call inspired actions. And a lot of the times they come through intuition. So if you're not used to working with your intuition seems a little woo-woo for you, and you're like, okay, I'm not as woo-woo as you are, Wendy. I don't do Reiki. I don't work with crystals. I don't do all the things. Intuition is really simple. Have you ever walked out the door and said, oh, I think I need to go see this person, or I need to call this person? And then you pick up the phone and the person said, oh, I was just thinking of you, right? How often does that happen? That happens to us all the time. That's what intuition is. Intuition is just this little feeling or a thought that you need to do something. And inspired action often comes in the form of intuition. So you think you need to start a podcast, or you think you need to get this jingle out of your head and record it, or you think that you need to write a blog post about a certain thing. Those are actions that help to build your legacy, and those are inspired actions that might come through intuition. So if you're not used to working with your intuition, then that is one of the steps that you can take, is how do you hone your ability to listen to that little voice that tells you this is where I should go, and then take the actions. So I saw there's just a comment from from Doc Rico, is talking about building your legacy and building your business. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, is how do we build our legacy? So the first step, understanding our vision. The second step is inspired action. And then the third step is our impact, right? So how do we know what impact we're actually making? This is where we really want to understand, what are the needs of the people that we're serving? How are we serving them? And are we making a difference? So as you're looking at the impact that you're making, if you're making a difference, you should be able to measure it or demonstrate that there is a difference as a result of you putting in your action. So the legacy part usually comes from that impact. And we often will say, oh, well, this organization served this many people, or this person helped this many people. We know Oprah gives away cars and like all these fantastic things. And that's what her impact has been. And we're able to see that over and over and over again. We know that's part of her brand. So if you're building a business, you're building a nonprofit, and it's impact-based, making sure that you have a way to measure and demonstrate and communicate that impact. So those are the three parts of impact: is measuring it, demonstrating that you are getting the results you say you are getting, and then you can actually communicate that. So the legacy part comes from all of this together, the vision, the inspired action, and the impact. And each of those have these other concepts below them, right? So visioning, we talked about, and how you can use that to get clarity and move forward. Inspired action, we talked about, is how do you then take the appropriate actions by following your intuition and guidance. And then when you actually do those, whatever actions you take, what impact are you making? How do you measure that? And how do you demonstrate that? So that whole sequence of events is something that happens over and over and over again as you build a business or a nonprofit. You'll go through this cycle of having to redo your vision, take new actions, and then measure your actions. And sometimes you'll hear it called the continuous quality improvement, or CQI process. In hardcore strategic planning, we talk about the CQI process a lot. And it's the way that we see if any changes that we've made, any alterations to our plans or anything, has affected our outcomes, right? So if you're impact-based organization, you're always looking at outcomes and what your outcomes are, how are they related to the goals that you have, and how close are you getting to those goals, right? And the goals are aligned to your vision. So all of this stuff makes sense from a strategic planning perspective, but we don't think about it in bite-sized pieces for us as the creator or the founder to go through this whole process. A lot of the times we're going through it as part of a larger strategic planning process that we're a cog in a wheel of, and we're not necessarily in charge of. So now, as a solopreneur or someone who's starting a foundation or a nonprofit or a business, you're in charge of this entire CQI process, right? And the doing and the marketing and all the other things. So you need someone to help you with that process to get you through all of these pieces. Now, I had a couple of other things I wanted to talk about today, so I'm going to look really quickly at my notes that I had put together before this. Yes, that makes sense. I knew I was missing something, and here it is. So we talked about the three parts of what builds a legacy. Now, here's the other part of it that I teach in my accelerator. In order for you to stop being boring and build your legacy, you have ideas that pop off in your head and you need to act on them. And this is going to go deeper into the inspired action part. These ideas come into your head. A lot of the times they're disorganized. Like I said, they're made by intuition or whatever is bringing ideas to your head, whatever you believe. And they pop into your brain. And sometimes you don't know exactly what to do next, right? And so you just decide to be overwhelmed by all the ideas and you do nothing. Or you can do something about these ideas and take action. But you really want to wait for the right opportunity for action. So you don't want to take action when it's unfavorable for you to do so. And what I mean by unfavorable is sometimes the conditions that we're operating in are not going to be supportive of our idea, or they're not going to allow our idea to move forward. Say something is currently a policy is currently against the idea that you have, that doesn't allow your idea to move forward, right? There's different things that happen when we're trying to implement our ideas that prevent them. And the best way for you to understand if you're going to be successful or not is to look at opportunities that you have to take actions and all of the ideas that you have, because you might have a completely different idea that it's prime for this to take place, right? And so you can go over and move your energy in that direction and start working with that idea and bring that to life while you're waiting for conditions to change, or you're actively changing the conditions to change this policy so you can do the other thing, right? So you have to have an idea, have an opportunity for action, and then you want to make the decision to act. And this is before you actually act. Sometimes it takes us a minute to become friends with an idea that we have, and for us to say, okay, yes, I do want to act and I do want to move forward. And that decision, like that point, you have to get there. You have to actually decide, I am going to act right now. I am going to do something right now. I am not going to let this current reality perpetuate. When you do that, and when you're able to move forward with your inspired actions, that's when you'll get to the impact, right? So having the vision isn't enough. Doing random actions is not what we should be doing. Making an impact for the wrong people is not where we want to go. We want to make sure all of this stuff is aligned, that we have a strategy, and that we know how we're going to proceed to build our legacy. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. It's been fun to hang out here in LinkedIn Live and Facebook Live and YouTube Live, all the places with you guys. And I really wanted to share a couple more things that are coming up. So I'm hoping you will hang out with me for just one more second. First of all, we still are open for people to join the community for our Social Impact Mastermind. This is a part of the Social Impact Level Up Collective where I'm bringing together a small group of people who want to make social change, who are ready to take action right now, who are ready to build their legacy and are starting to build their legacy, and who want to make sure that as they move forward, they're doing so in a sustainable way. So that is what we are doing. We're taking a problem that you see that you can take action on. We're taking your solution and we're making it happen. And this is part of the legacy process, right? The action, the making it happen. And you don't have to do it by yourself. You can always do it with support of other people. That's the whole concept behind the mastermind. Not only do you get me guiding you and supporting you and creating the mechanism for you to take action, the actual roadmap for you to follow for action, but you also get to be part of this amazing group of people who met last night for the first time. And I am so excited about their energy and what they're going to bring into the world as a result of working together for this next year. So please reach out to me if you're interested in the Social Impact Level Up, if in our mastermind. And this is going to go on until January of 2023, but you can only get in right now until September. And then I am not opening it again until the new year. So if you're interested, get in right now. This is the time. Check us out everywhere. The Social Impact Level Up is all the places, and you can find me, Wendy Velos, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and our podcast is on Spotify, and it's on Google Podcasts, and it's on Apple Podcasts. So head over there, give us a follow, check us out. It's me and Rodrigo Bravo, and we're always talking about things related to social entrepreneurship. We'll also be talking here on LinkedIn in an audio format in LinkedIn audio as well. So you can catch us on Clubhouse and you can catch us on LinkedIn audio, and then you can catch all of the action for our podcast on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or Apple. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. It's been really fun being here with you. I'm Wendy Velos. I'm a social impact strategist, and I help people turn their ideas into inspired action so they can create a legacy of social change.